Hey guys, it's Trixie, and in this vlog I want to tell you why the last weeks have been a mess. If you're also a subscriber to my main channel, you may have noticed that I didn't publish anything, and the reason was that our family has been hit by a series of misfortunate events that did not want to end. It's the story on how we planned on having a very nice time together, get some stuff done, and ended up in the hospital 3 times and completely wrecked. I'm still getting goosebumps when I think back to it. It was definitely one of the hardest times that I had to go through as a mom so far, and I do not want to experience that anytime soon again. I don't even know where to begin. I guess everything started on the 22nd of December. Damn you, 22nd of December. Everything was great up until this point. The holidays were coming, Eric would be home with me, so I was planning on filming lots and lots of videos, relax a bit, get all this annoying stuff done that was piling up behind my back, causing me sleepless nights. And then a huge nope comet crashed into our roof. Alright, so 22nd of December. My boyfriend was home from work and we were looking forward to Christmas and the holidays, New Year's Eve. I made us dinner, we ate, the kids were playing, and then when I was just getting the laundry out of the dryer, it happened. Just imagine me standing there with a bunch of laundry in my arms when I heard that noise from the living room. It was a sort of and when you're a mom, this makes all the alarm bells ring immediately. It's also known as the child's head hits something solid noise. And it instantly makes a mom's heartbeat go from tuk tuk to tuk 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 tuk. Usually is followed by crying, but there was nothing, which gave me a very bad feeling. So I just dropped all the laundry to the floor and ran to the living room, where I saw my bigger daughter, who was 3 years old, on the floor. Eric told me that she was playing, she ran, and then she slipped. That didn't sound so scary at first because my bigger daughter is quite a tough cookie. She runs and jumps and falls all the time, just this time she didn't get up. I immediately went there and tried to pick her up and cuddle her, comfort her, but she didn't react like she normally does when she has a little accident. I had her in my arms and she barely moved. The only sound she made was this horrible, sad moaning, almost like a quiet sighing or a humming rather than crying. I tried to look into her face and something was so off. It was like she was about to faint or fighting against fainting. Her eyelids were like this. Like she could barely keep her eyes open. I only saw the white of her eyes and it looked so scary. This has been such a long time ago and my hands are still shaky when I think of this moment. I instantly knew, my mom gut feeling told me that something was wrong, that we were not lucky this time. However, a few seconds later, she got a little bit better. She opened her eyes again and she told me what happened. Like, "Mommy, I fell. Mommy, ow. Mommy, there, it hurts." She then told me that she wanted to cuddle with Daddy, so I gave her to Eric and he had her on her chest, which was so weird and alarming as well, because the last time she had rested on one of our chests was when she was 1 year old and she had a stomach flu. You know, usually she's not the cuddly kind. She has her moments, but she's always moving, always jumping. And there, she was just not herself. So from now on, I had the baby, I carried her around. I was super shaky, super worried, didn't know what to do. Eric tried to calm me down, like, it's gonna be fine. She's gonna be better in a minute, but I didn't buy it. You know, Eric and I are very different when it comes to worrying about the kids. I usually totally overreact and he's like trying to calm me down. But this time I just knew I wasn't overreacting and I didn't accept what he was telling me. I didn't believe it, like, at all. And I think my gut feeling was proven right when my daughter suddenly fell asleep in Eric's arms. You know, it kinda was her bedtime, but she would never fall asleep that easily. So it was definitely not just her being tired. Something was not right. And when a kid falls asleep kind of randomly after a fall, there's no way that I'm just gonna sit and wait. So while Eric was cuddling her, I went upstairs with the baby and I called the hospital. hospital. And they basically told me what I already knew, that we should come by and have her checked because she might have suffered from a concussion. So I was walking through the whole house like a headless chicken, trying to grab some things and pack a bag. When I came downstairs again, my daughter was still sleeping, but I figured it would be better to wake her up to, see if she responds, to be able to ask her how she feels. So yeah, we woke her up gently and I asked her how she was, and she told me that she was feeling dizzy and nauseous, which was basically the last sign that should make all your alarm bells ring concerning a concussion. Soon after, she threw up the first time. We tried to calm her down. I felt so helpless. I wanted to take this all away from her and redirect her pain to me so that I could go through it for her. But there was no choice. We had to take her to the hospital and she had to be strong. So I just told Eric, come on, we have to rush this now. We have to get her to the hospital. Then he fetched the car. I dressed the 2 children. It was super inconvenient that we had to take the baby with us. But since Eric doesn't speak German so well, he begged me to come with him. And of course, I also wanted to be with my daughter. Unfortunately, there was no one that could have taken care of her, so all 4 of us went to the hospital. My bigger daughter puked 2 more times on the way. It was one of the worst nights in my whole life. This ride to the hospital took ages. I was sitting in the car, staring out of the window, calming my 2 daughters down, too worried and desperate to actually cry. And I was praying and hoping that everything would be fine again soon. It's so crazy. Like when you're in this kind of situation, you always think, how stupid was I to not be grateful for the life I had? How come that there always has to be something horrible happening so that we appreciate the usual everyday life that we have? I was slapping myself in the face internally for thinking that things had been bad before just because I was overwhelmed by being a mom and taking care of the kids every day. Then something like this happens and you just want to go back to normal. You just want your normal life back. That's something I'll definitely try to see differently from now on. Like, my children are healthy, and if I'm angry right now or sad, then this is a moment of weakness, but I'm not actually in a position where I should be sad. So yeah, at some point we finally arrived to the hospital and we went to the reception, said, hey, this is us, we called, this is our daughter, she fell, what can we do? And well, since it was late evening, there were lots of people there and also lots of other kids, so they told us to wait. And we waited. Me with the baby on my arm and Eric with our bigger daughter in his arms. Still, she felt sick and she was uncomfortable. And, it hurt my heart that we could do nothing but wait and she had to suffer all of this time. Then again, of course, I understand that hospital cannot handle things differently. They're trying their best and I'm not holding the staff accountable, but it's something that just feels so wrong, when you're in a situation like this. My 3-year-old child was sick. She was injured. I was worried about her to the bone. And we sat there also with the baby for 3.5 hours in this very uncomfortable waiting room with super bright lights, and it was way too warm. We were all sweating. It just felt like there was no air to breathe. You're stuck in this place and getting more and more depressed. Fortunately, my daughter fell asleep at some point, so she got some rest, and after that she was feeling better. But what happened after the 3.5 hours that we waited? Well, a nurse came and said that the department is closed now. It is 1 o'clock in the night, so the emergency room closes now. Please all move to another house, another part of the hospital, and then maybe you're gonna be taken care of there. That was so incredible. So we had to carry the 2 kids to this other part of the hospital. There were some other parents with kids as well, let's say around 15 people in total. And we were sent to this little room with 4 chairs. 15 people with sick kids, 4 chairs. This didn't make sense at all. But what other choice did we have? So obviously I was standing since I was healthy. I was holding the baby the whole time. Eric was sitting down with our daughter because she was still very sick. And we waited again another 1.5 hours. Until finally somebody said our name and the doctor looked at our daughter. And, well, they basically told us what we already knew. She was showing the symptoms of a concussion, so they wanted to keep her there for at least 48 hours. Which was obviously bad, but not unexpected news. It's not that it was inconvenient for us or we didn't see the necessity of it. But I think hearing that your 3-year-old child has to stay at the hospital for 2 nights is just something moms and dads don't enjoy hearing. Nonetheless, that's what we had to do, and we explained it to her and we cuddled her, and then we talked about what to do next. Since the baby is still breastfed and she needs me 24/7, we decided that Eric would stay with our bigger daughter. You know, there's no option to just stay at the hospital as a family. So her father staying with her was already the best thing we could do. So they sent us to a room. There was another 13-year-old kid there who appeared to have a very bad kind of the flu, which seems like kind of an irrelevant fact, but gonna get back to that later. So yeah, we prepared the bed. We told our bigger daughter that she would have to stay there, but daddy would be with her too. And then there was not much more that I could do, and I was told to leave as soon as possible because it was already late. And this was one of the most difficult moments in all my life as a mom, leaving my child behind at the hospital. I mean, yeah, Eric, her father, was there with her, but you just don't want to go. Nonetheless, what other choice did I have? I also had to take care of the baby, who was super tired and overwhelmed by all of this as well, so I said goodbye. And I drove home with my little daughter. Which was also not easy because the weather was insane. If you follow me for a while already, you know that I hate driving. And in this night, it was of course extremely dark, it was raining, then it was hailing, and there was a storm. Also, my phone that I used as a navigation system was a 10% battery, so I was kind of afraid of stranding somewhere in the middle of the night. Everything was just so great. But yeah, we made it home alive. I brought the baby to bed and I was taking care of some things in the house, like for example, wiping away the puke from before, doing the laundry, tidying up some things, and then I was getting ready for bed as well. By this point, I think it was 4 o'clock in the night, and needless to say, even though I was completely exhausted, I was not able to fall asleep easily. I maybe slept 2 hours that night, and then the next morning we went to the hospital again right after breakfast. By this point, I thought that the worst was over. I thought, okay, we just have to wait until our daughter can be home again in 2 days, everything will be back to normal. And it looked like that would be the case. She was much better when I visited her and her dad. The doctors said that there was nothing to be concerned of. Everything was fine so far, and keeping her there for another night was just a precaution, basically. Little did I know that there would be 2.5 weeks full of constant worries ahead of us. And it all started when I was back home, sitting on a couch, thinking to myself, we did the right thing and everything's gonna be fine now. Eric wrote me, our daughter is fine, but the doctors noticed that she has a high fever. And I was like, no. It just hurt me so bad that after this accident, she was now sick. And given that we had been in the waiting room with lots and lots of sick people the whole night the day before, had me very worried again. And then, this kid that was with her in the room, I mean, I don't know how quickly viruses travel, and maybe that's not even possible, but I just had this feeling that she caught something very nasty in the hospital. And yep, I was right. It was not just a normal cold. The whole day she had this very bad fever without any other symptoms. But they gave her medicine and the fever got a little bit lower. Then it got higher again and they gave her medicine again. I just wanted her to be home again and take care of her myself. Cuddle her, make a tea for her. And there was nothing I could do. So desperate as I was, I tried to focus all my love and attention on the baby, which I then noticed had a fever as well. I measured her temperature and it was the freaking highest fever she ever had in her life. Luckily, we still had some medicine at home, so I gave it to her and she got better, but it was still concerning. Obviously, after this shock from the day before, they had both caught a very aggressive virus somewhere. I don't know how other moms feel about that, but if my kids are sick with a fever, that's so much worse than being sick myself, you're just under pressure the whole time until they are better again. And being home alone with my worries, with no one to talk to, I don't know, maybe I'm dramatic or maybe I'm too sensitive for this world, but it really wrecked me. But I just took care of the baby as good as I could, trusted the doctors at the hospital that they would treat my daughter right, and we waited. Once again, the second lonely night came. The baby's fever rose again. We fought it again. And I was just so unsettled. I stared at my phone all the time if there were any news from my daughter. I checked the baby's temperature, checked whether or not she was fine. And once again, I barely slept. It was the second night where I had no more than 2 hours of sleep. Finally, that very next day, our daughter was released from the hospital despite the fever. They told us how to treat it, gave us some medicine, and then finally we were reunited. Which was so great because it was the 24th of December. Other than in America, the 24th is when we celebrate Christmas. We call it Heiligabend. That's the most important Christmas day. It's where you get your gift, where you go to church or whatever you plan to do. So it was nice to have her home again on that day. Being able to unwrap her gifts and celebrate with us and just be together as a family. However, she was still very sick and she didn't enjoy unwrapping the gifts as much. She was too exhausted to be happy. And it was just so sad to see her. She was excited, but on the other hand, tired and just feeling so miserable. And this stupid ass fever just didn't want to stay down. I know that a fever is important, that it's a natural reaction of the body to fight whatever was working inside of them. But it's so scary and it made them feel so bad. Well, long story short, this whole fever thing took 5 days to disappear. The fever went up and down and we treated them, but for 5 days straight, they were just worries and sick kids and being a mom and getting nothing else done and being extremely exhausted. Due to the sickness, the baby didn't sleep, so I didn't sleep. I think in this whole week after my bigger daughter came out of the hospital, I maybe slept like 10 hours in total. It was absolutely insane. I felt like a ghost, a mom ghost. And it was the opposite of what we had expected from these holidays. It's maybe a bit mean to say that because the kids were sick, so they had an even tougher time. But I also hope to rest at least a little bit during the holidays, and so far they had wrecked me way more than the time before. The time that I had hoped to recover from. As I said, 5 days of fever and then yay! 2 days that were almost normal. A little bit of a snotty nose here, a little bit of coughing there, and then all of a sudden, after being fever-free for these 2 days, the baby had a fever again. And again, not any kind of fever. The kind that really concerns you as a mom. Of course, the holidays, all the doctors were closed, so I said, that's enough, and I took the baby to the hospital again. By this point, I felt like a zombie, out of strength to worry any longer. I couldn't worry anymore. I just wanted everything to be okay again. But yeah, we went to the hospital and I said, this is my poor baby daughter. She had a fever again, then she was better, and now she has a fever again. I hoped they would say, it's fine, just wait a couple more days. But nah. They found that she had a mild bronchitis and an ear infection. So I had to give her antibiotics 3 times a day from then on, and I had to make her inhale, which is pretty horrible and difficult to do when you have a baby. We got this kind of device and I had to give it to her 3 times a day, which broke my heart every time because she did not like that. Since the doctor told me that ear infections are highly contagious, I asked her if I should also bring my older daughter in, just to be sure that she didn't suffer from the same thing. And she told me, maybe, but let's wait. If she develops a fever again, you should bring her, otherwise she should be fine. 2 days in, treating the baby with antibiotics and making her inhale, guess what happened? Yep, my older daughter also had a fever again. Still the holidays, so we did what we had to do. We took her to the hospital the 3rd time. And I'm not saying it like this because I was annoyed by the fact that we had to go to the hospital again. Imagine me being completely out of strength. No sleep, no rest, sick kids, worries. I wasn't myself anymore. I was a ghost, a zombie. This time, however, we were lucky. She did not have an ear infection. We still got some medicine for something else. But yeah, at least not another shock for us. Anyway, that was not completely the end of our misfortunate events. Taking the antibiotics caused the baby some stomach issues. After that, she developed a rash that we again had to go to the doctor with. By that point, the holidays were over. Back to work, back to daily life. Yay! How was your Christmas? Great! And of course, it happened what always happened when your kids are sick. The moment they get better, you catch it. I also caught this super nasty flu thing, knocking me down completely for 3 days straight. I had a super high fever, cold sweat overnight. I couldn't get out of bed, I couldn't eat, I could barely drink because my throat was so swollen. Fun, it was so much fun. Eric was also sick, feeling like crap, still trying to do the most necessary things in the house and taking care of the kids. And then, this story is not over yet. When I was feeling better, when Eric went back to work again, when the baby's rash had disappeared, our oldest daughter suddenly threw up. Yep, she had a stomach flu. Luckily, it seems that it was a 2-day thing. She's better today, which explains why I'm able to make this video. But yeah, that have been our last 3 or so weeks. So if you wondered, why was there no video on Don't Trust the Rabbit? That happened. And let's please all hope this is over now. My kids, Eric and I, are gonna stay healthy and our life is gonna start feeling like a life again. Phew, that was a really long video. Thank you for listening to all of this. Maybe this video can give some other moms and dads hope, makes you relate because you know how it feels when your kids are sick. And yeah, that's all I wanted to share. This is what our Christmas holidays, our New Year's Eve looked like 2019. Please be gentle. Okay, I hope you liked this video. I hope it was interesting. Thank you all for watching and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!